Today I'm going to make a wooden toy hammer bench. This toy allows the child to hammer a ball through a hole. So step one is to get a wooden ball and measure it. I also need 2 pieces of 3/4 inch timber. I'm going to make them square, one for the bottom, one for the top, and cut them off on the drop saw. Now we need to get a Forstner bit that's the same size or just a tiny bit bigger than the ball. I also want another Forstner bit that's quite a lot bigger than the ball, and you'll see how this is used in a minute. Using the larger of the 2 Forstner bits, I want to drill about halfway into the timber. With that done, I use the smaller of the Forstner bits and drill from the other side right through. So this gives me a hole where the wooden ball is just able to get through that hole with clearance, and on the back I've got a larger hole that only goes halfway. I want to mount the top and bottom, and I'm just using 1 inch or 25mm dowel for this, and so I'm just getting a bit of a length that looks okay. I'll measure that and then I'll cut 4 pieces of this out. Now I'm going to mark out where these posts go in each corner. With the 2 pieces stacked together, I'm just going to drill about a 1/8 drill right through both pieces on all 4 corners. This will be where the screws go through that screw into each post. So using the appropriate Forstner bit, I drill into each corner to the same depth. I'm going to countersink each of the holes so that when I put the screws in, they fit flush. We need some friction to stop the ball just dropping through the hole. So I just use a bit of old motorcycle tyre. I'm marking the outside diameter of the hole and then a hole on the inside that's smaller than the ball. This gives it enough friction so the child has to hammer the ball through the hole. The smaller you make this hole, the larger the friction. Now that I've got my piece of rubber, I need to cut out a piece of timber that I can glue in to hold that rubber in place. The inside diameter of this hole has got to be just a bit larger than the ball. This gives the rubber enough flex so that the ball can go through the hole. So I'm choosing a forstner bit that's just a bit bigger than the hole. And I'll drill out the piece of wood that I'll use to glue into the underside of the top. Now I roughly cut out the outside diameter. The reason I'm roughly cutting out is that I'm going to sand it to the line or close to the line with the sander so that I get it to fit. As you can see, it's just a little bit big at the moment, so running it around the sander I can get it to fit into the hole, sort of reasonably well. And there we go. I'm going to super glue in the rubber and then the piece of timber. And because I wasn't good enough to get that outside diameter perfect, I'm just using a bit of sawdust to push into the gaps and then run super glue into those gaps. Yes, it looks a bit nasty now, and the piece of timber that I've put in is thicker than what it needs to be. So I just go over to the sander again and sand it off till it's flat. And voila! It looks like I bought one. I want to build a little fence around the base so that when the ball pops through the top, it doesn't run away. I've used a bit of scrap ply for this, and I've got a couple of pieces of scrap, but they're a bit wide, so I just make a random measurement and then cut them to size. The easiest way to get these sides to fit is to just cut them a little large, a couple of nails to hammer them, and then the excess can just be sanded off to size. Alright, I'm on the home straight. I can now screw the top and bottom to the posts. And here's the finished product. Pick up the ball, drop it into the hole, and hammer it through. But hammering it with your hand's no fun, so I need to make a hammer. So I'm using a bit of 3/4 inch dowel and a bit of scrap block wood that I've found in the shed. Again, using the appropriate size forstner bit and finding the centre of the block of wood, I'm just going to drill about sort of 3/4 of the way through. And with a bit of wood glue in the hole, I can then tap the handle into the head, and that'll be nice and strong. I'm going to leave this project raw. I'm not going to finish it with anything. And now, here's the finished product. With the ball sitting in the hole, I can hammer away happily. This would be a great project to make for the grandkids. It can be made in a couple of hours from scrap lying around in the shed. So remember, when you make something yourself and give it as a gift, you're actually giving part of yourself as well as the gift.